Okay, we've got something special for you all tonight. This is going to be a topic that really needs to be touched on because they're not even hiding it. The power of sex magic. They're not even hiding it anymore. This is an abomination. This is not biblical. In fact, I'm going to be going through some Bible verses here later on. I used to have some respect for Miss Danica Patrick here on the left, ex-race car or NASCAR racer. And this person on the right is apparently a millionaire matchmaker. So we're just going to skip through this video. This is an hour video if you want to go check it out yourself. But we're going to be going through certain topics throughout this. I haven't watched all of it. I just watched the first few minutes before this. And I was like, my people need to see this because this is exactly what the last days are going to be like. We're going to be filled with revile and filled with just a bunch of promiscuity and openly talking about how to commit sorcery on people's minds. So let's just hear what they have to say, huh?
I heard you talking about sex magic, and I was like, go girl, go girl. I do sex magic for sure.
So Patty Negri is like the leading witch in the country. She's on Discovery.
Witches, man. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. That is Exodus 22:18. That's a pretty harsh verse, but there's a reason for it. There's a reason why. Because you get stuff like this proliferating in our environment, in our culture, that's openly, this woman is making money off of telling people how to get matches. And this is all a bunch of love spells. And this is like, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. We'll let her talk for a second.
Discovery Channel, and she's my best friend and she's my teacher. And so we do magic on Fridays, which is Venus Day. When you're trying to summon a man.
Summon a man.
I should not giving my secrets away. Not only do we use the fragrance, but we light the candles. We bless the candles. I'm a Hecate. Hecate is my goddess. So I bring in Hecate energy into it. Somebody might be Venus or Aphrodite. And there are ways where you use your vibrator, you masturbate, and you summon the energy. And it.
That is literally demonic behavior. That is literally demonic. Why? Because that's not pure. Playing with yourself is not pure. Like if you are not participating in a sexual act with your spouse in a long-term relationship, biblically speaking, that is not pure.
We'll travel to them.
So,
okay, let's rewind that for just a second.
But somebody might be Venus or Aphrodite. And there are ways where you use your vibrator, you masturbate, and you summon the energy. And it.
Ezekiel 13:18. And say, thus saith the Lord God, woe to the women that sew pillows to all armholes, and make kerchiefs upon the head of every stature, to hunt souls. Will ye hunt the souls of my people, and will ye save the souls alive that come unto you? And will ye pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley and for pieces of bread, to slay the souls that should not die, and to save the souls alive that should not live, by your lying to my people that hear your lies? Whew. The Bible
will travel to them.
Is strong.
So I like your style.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I really do. I like where does it come from to be so direct?
Growing up in New Jersey and having direct parents who tell it like it is. I don't think we have that West Coast vibe where we circle around what we want. We just do you want me or don't you,
Yeah, I think I have a lot of that. I'm from the Chicago area. I attribute it to my double Aries in my chart, the being very, very direct, and my parents for sure too, because my dad is this very blunt, straightforward person. My mom much.
There's really so much to be said about astrology. There's so much more to be said, but to see so many women that are just polluting it. Gosh, there could be so much more actual studies being done, and yet it's being conducted and contrived by women that they're. I'm glad that they're trying to figure stuff out. I'm glad that they're trying to do what they do, but it's not right to take people's minds away from them for the sake of sex magic. That's just not right. And then to think that astrology is going to answer all of your problems or be your personality. That's the first sign you need to run fast away from the person like that.
Much more quiet. It makes things just go so much faster. And it feels like maybe you probably do everything fast too. Is that also a character trait of yours?
Yes, my assistant's on the couch right now because I moved too fast. She has a migraine from me. I'm a double Gemini with the Venus in Aries. And so.
Oh, yeah. Communication, baby.
Like this, you know. But I also was an assistant at one time, and I worked my ass off, you know. In those days, we were afraid we'd lose our jobs. Today, they're not afraid, the kids. But
see, and I don't know about that. I know people that are afraid to lose their jobs, and I know people that care about their lives, and these are pretty much average people. And it's not like, oh, they're just average. No, these are hardworking American people.
It's very different times.
But that's a whole nother topic altogether.
And I think when you're direct like that, it offends men sometimes.
It doesn't offend men when you're direct. It doesn't. In fact, a lot of men like it. However, it's how you come across when you're direct is what matters. And we'll see why.
Sometimes you have to take it down a notch and be a little more beta when you're dating. It doesn't really work like in dating, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Please tell me more about that.
Well, men, an alpha man, because I don't like beta men. Alpha men tend to like beta women, but
what?
That doesn't mean you're not going to be alpha in situations like if he gets sick or loses his job and you have to take over because you're a partnership. But generally, men.
No, we're not a partnership. We're running the ship. We're running the ship. You're just there. And that's not like, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that you're a part of our life. We're not a part of yours. Okay. This is not a partnership. I don't believe in partnerships. People say, oh, your partner. No, it's a team and there's a leader and the man must be the leader. If the man's not a leader, you're going to have women ending up like this.
Men are repulsed by like in your face.
Yes.
You know, that they don't really like the strong leadership person, like the CEO of a corporation. You know, so the women at the top are always getting divorced or left for the younger, pretty, mousy girl who doesn't speak up.
Yeah, because we don't want a woman that we have to contend with all the time.
I've wondered, because I'm definitely not beta. I'm alpha. I'm
Danica. I really did once have respect, but I can't after this. I can't. This is not respectable to me. I don't believe women can be alpha or beta. This is not. I can see how women think that they could be, but I just don't see the significance or the relevance or the practicality in thinking that way. There is practicality in seeing men as alpha and beta, but there's not really in the women. Women are either helpmeets or they're not.
Direct. I'm the strong personality. And I've often wondered, like, are a lot of people settling for an agreement, a silent agreement relationship where...
No, they're not. They're not. They just want peace and quiet and somebody that's going to make them some coffee, give them a smile, be sexually desired and desirable, and call it a day. We us men don't need much more than that. We don't.
Like, let's say hypothetically, but exists a lot, is like there's a woman who's, beautiful. She doesn't really, maybe she doesn't do that much, contribute that much money, or like,
Why would she need to contribute money?
very successful and makes a lot of money. I mean,
Why would that make her more attractive?
this is a common thing. But, and like, maybe he's not that faithful. And maybe she's also not that pure in love, and that like maybe there's.
How come men always get this rap of not being faithful? I don't get it. All of the men that I know, like all of the men that I know that want just a genuine, nice relationship, they're the ones getting fucked. Excuse my French here, but they're the ones getting fucked each and every day by the government, by society. Men are practically second-class citizens at this point. In fact, I might just make a video with that as the title.
She goes and buys whatever she wants with his money, and
Yeah, there's an agreement.
there's a silent agreement almost, right? Like a
And it goes to show what kind of men these women are dealing with.
lot of times.
He wants to feel like he's in his masculine, his superior. And she's saying, well, if you want my beauty and sexuality, then you got to pay for it. But the problem is there's more women in college now. And there's more women really working on their careers and rising to the top because the men are not stepping up to pay the bills.
Oh, it's always the men. It's always the men's fault. Golly, it's always the men. I do think that men need to be more accountable. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot of men that are incompetent nowadays, and there's a lot of men not providing for their families and not taking care of their families. 100%. But it's not because they're not freaking trying. And it's not because they don't want to. It's because they're stuck dealing with women like this that tell them they're never enough. Oh, I have to do it myself. You're emasculating men. Right then and there, always. How do you want us to fight for something like this?
And it takes more than 2 to 3 incomes. So you'll see
That's true. In fact, I think men, if you got only one stream of income, dude, you're not seeing the writing on the wall here in our society.
a strong woman with a man who can't pay, who doesn't have any money. And then she'll come in, he'll love it. Oh, she paid the bill, she's sexy, she's strong, she's this. And then he'll start to resent her. So then you've got the other side of the street where the woman's like, I don't know how to be successful, but I need a man to be successful. And then she uses her beauty and sexuality. And sometimes she loses her looks and he leaves her for someone else. You see these CEOs leaving for the secretary because they spend a lot of time together. Or she's like.
And there's a reason for that, though. There's a reason. Why do you think women are in some ways attracted to their boss? It's because, like, they're literally being told what to do, and subconsciously that sparks a reaction in a woman's psychology. That just is natural. That's one of the reasons why I say if a woman's working a 9-to-5 job, she's probably cheating, because there's probably somebody else, whether it's a male or female, above her telling her what to do. And for some reason, women psychologically, when somebody's telling them what to do, when they're being influenced, they're really impressionable, even if they're a strong, independent woman. They're still going to go toward that person, that male specifically, that's their work husband, right?
Like in the case of Jeff Bezos, she went for an underling who was the teacher, and they ended up breaking up probably because he couldn't understand her world. It's a catch-22, but there are a lot more women than men in the United States, and the average age of marriage is 29. It's really getting worse and worse. The men don't feel they need to get married anymore, and the men are like, oh, you make money, you buy me dinner.
What planet is she on? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. It's hard to take in. It's hard to take in to see the world that these people live. You're right. We don't live in your world. You live in a fantasy. That's where you live.
You call me on the phone. You ask me out. It's a
And the reason men don't feel the need to get married is because why? What's the incentive? To get a woman like you? Sure, you guys are pretty. Sure, you could contribute financially. But you're not going to be a mother. Look at what you guys are saying, how you guys are behaving, like how you guys talk about people. How are you going to be a mom? We want somebody that's going to be a mom.
real fucking clusterfuck because nobody knows who they are. Women want to be women. Men think they want to be men, but they want the privileges of a woman.
I find it to be
Oh my gosh. It's like they're taking the red pill talking points and then flipping it on the men. That's what it looks like to me. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's what it looks like.
very confusing out there as a woman who's strong and successful and
She's so strong and successful. It's just so hard. It's just so hard to be a strong, successful woman. Men don't talk about how hard it is to be a strong, successful man because nobody would care. Like nobody cares. And when I make videos on stuff like if you're attractive, like why you get hate when you're attractive and successful as a man, you only get hate. Women always get the victim card. You guys see this? Like even when they're strong and independent, they're playing the victim.
if you listen to any of the behavioral psychology of dating, it would say I'm screwed. You're in that same group.
You
You
are
are
like,
successful. You're attractive.
I do
You have
not
money.
agree.
You
Okay, we're gonna skip around a little bit. This is gonna be a video for you guys for sure. You guys will see some things. I don't know. I haven't seen this kind of stuff here. I'm allergic to his.
might be like, woo, I didn't see that coming. There are surprises in dating.
I've heard that someone's pheromones are the way that they smell. If you don't notice or you don't mind, you're very compatible. Like there's a biological compatibility happening.
Yeah, it goes back to the caveman days where
Well, that's true.
our DNAs crossed in some way. But like, I'll give you an example. I had a boyfriend once and I was allergic to his sperm. And I asked my
What
doctor.
happened? What happened to your
He's
vagina?
I said to my gynecologist, what's going on? He said, he's probably from your DNA, because we're both dark hair, blue eyes. She goes, he's probably from your DNA family. And the DNAs are not supposed to be inbred. They're supposed to cross.
It's like an incest thing.
And she said it's common, very common.
What was the like, if I can
Yeah,
ask, like,
it's like, vaginal vaginosis and all that shit that comes with it. And so I thought he was cheating on me, and he wasn't. It was the DNA. We checked it. The sperm. I was allergic to the sperm. It was the only one I've ever allergic to. But we look like alike. We both
Goes back to the used products, man. Used products wanting new prices.
had dark hair, blue eyes. We both German background. It was like similar, and so the DNA probably was the same. And you're not supposed to have incestual relations, basically.
right. It always feels like guys don't want to be rushed in some way, and a girl dreams. And I usually put this down to the fact that not because it's so inherent, but because of the dynamic that essentially like a man tends to be the one that chooses a woman many times, and they also are the ones that propose, that there's this sort of like race to the line. When do you talk about the future?
6 months, he knows. He knows whether you're going to be in or not, especially if you want married.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that, but I would still say that you need to vet a woman for at least a year and a half, because by then you'll see where she's at with other people, how she's with other people, what is she like when you do different activities together, etc., all that kind of stuff. So you're going to be seeing a lot of different sides of her and how she interacts and with whoever your friends are or your people that you're with, that you're building with, whatever it is. That's going to be where about, I would say, about a year and a half, honestly.
Marriage. Where are you going? I think my ex said, we're going to have to live together. And I said, well, I'm old school. He says, I'll get you a ring and we'll get married.
She's old school. Dude, she's practicing witchcraft, but she's old school. She's practicing sex magic, but she's old school. Oh my gosh. That guy was a simp. She was simp testing that guy. Oh my gosh.
And I think that was about 5-6 months. 6 months, 9 months is negotiation, and a year you're engaged. And then I like to see 1 year you're together before you jump into everything, because people change, especially. I'm not a fan of living together, but if you have to, you must get a ring and a date set up. It's all in my book, Become Your Own Matchmaker on Amazon. Even the words how to get monogamy, because I always get monogamy. I don't recommend having sex until 90 days. Even if you're seeing them once or twice a week or 3 times a week,
Hold up. I just saw this timestamp. Was Jesus a player? What? Oh, okay. Hold on. We're gonna get to that. But I don't want to listen to any more of this. I'm allergic to his sperm shit.
Ours. Now it's like swipe. I have 5 apps on my phone, and you don't want to do what I want you to do. They're becoming narcissistic, and then they're just like, well, then I'll go to the next one.
Well, that's just called. Hold on. Let's rewind this for a second. Let's get some context here.
We're talking about how in the old days you had to walk up to a girl and get their number, and it was a lot of work, even though you got what you saw what you're getting. But it was like you couldn't have too many people in your head at once, because that would mean you have to go to 50 bars. Now it's like swipe. I have 5 apps on my phone, and you don't want to do what I want you to do. They're becoming narcissistic, and then they're just like, well, then I'll go to the next one.
Apps are dangerous, man. And I'm not just talking about dating apps, but I mean social media apps. And it feels like it overcomplicates relationships a lot.
Absolutely.
I can agree with that. In fact, I don't trust a woman or a man, really. If you have certain kinds of dating apps, and depending on how you use them, I understand. But if you're on there often, then I can't trust you as a man or a woman, in my opinion. And the reason being is because you're treating the relationship like a rental. It's like a rental boat, instead of actually purchasing the boat and setting sail. You're just renting the boat here and there for a few fun events, and then you're done. But as far as what she just said about the men, okay, if I'm not getting this, then I'm gonna go on to the next one. That's a man just knowing what he wants. and that's not narcissistic at all. It's not narcissistic at all. She even said at the very beginning, she's like, well, do you want me or do you not? And then you see how women contradict themselves like this. Women like this contradict themselves all the time. And they think, and it's because they're always involved in some kind of sorcery or witchcraft, and they don't see the contradiction logically. But that's a contradiction. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Narcissistic. And then they're just like, well, then I'll go to the next one.
Apps are dangerous, man. And I'm not just such
it's a very tough time for women. It's not easy. We have gotten smarter and stronger, but we're getting punished for it at the same time.
What? No, you have not. You guys have gotten more sabotaging in yourself and your relationships. I swear, women's biggest enemy are themselves. They are. That's like half of a man's job in a relationship is to protect a woman from herself. Why do you think a man has to take ownership of the situation? Why do you think they want a man that takes ownership of the situation? Because the man is more logically based. And I'm sure that these are great businesswomen. In fact, probably as business people, like, you could probably be professional with them. But as far as relationships go beyond that, no way. No way I'm going to be involved with people like this. And again, you have the, we're so strong, we're so smart, but we're so weak. We're so powerful, we're so independent, but we're the victim. You guys, do you hear yourselves, ladies? Do you hear yourselves?
You think that men should be able to have girls as friends or follow girls on social media? That sort of like, I can have girls that are friends.
I'm not a fan of that unless they're married or something. Like if they're married and it was a girlfriend from 20 years ago and you double dated, whatever. But if you're looking at other women and you're like social media and going out with your girlfriends and you're a guy, no, I'm not a fan of that. That's just going to lead to more complications and more choices and more options. And then you're going to spend all your time texting and checking them out. That doesn't make your mean girl feel good.
I can agree with that, but the same thing goes for her and her male friends too.
Like she's the star of the party, not these other chicks. I think you need to give all because even if you do, the new guy's going to smell that there's old, chaos from your past and say, not healthy yet to date. A healthy man will notice that.
Yep.
I don't talk to
That's true. That is true.
any of my exes. I think that can scare a man like, oh shit, you're never going to talk to me again if this doesn't go well. It's like, no. And I also, I'm not talking to them either.
It scares a man that is insecure with himself. With a man that isn't insecure with himself, it's fine. It's fine.
But have you been married?
Because if we're not compatible, then we're not compatible.
Have you been married?
Yeah.
A real man is going to say, I want to take you off the market. That's why. Most real men know what they want at your age that you're dating. And they're in this place where it's like, I'm tired. I just want to snuggle up and call it a day. I can't tell you how many men are tired right now.
That's true.
Listen to them all the time. They just want what they want. And they're not running with the wolves as much. They're not in their 30s and 20s,
I heard you talking about sex magic, and I was like, go girl.
Oh, here we go.
Girl, go girl. I thought we get into like a little bit of the woo-woo. I do sex magic for sure.
So Patty Negri is like the leading witch in the country. She's on Discovery Channel, and she's my best friend, and she's my teacher. And so we do magic on Fridays, which is Venus Day. When you're trying to summon a man, I should not giving my secrets away. Not only do we use the fragrance, but we light the candles. We bless the candles. I'm a Hecate. Hecate is my goddess. So I bring in Hecate energy into it.
Worshipping something other than the Most High, that's an idol.
Somebody might be Venus or Aphrodite. And there are ways where you use your vibrator, you masturbate, and you summon the energy, and it will travel to them.
Have you ever read the Magdalene manuscript? So the whole first part of the book, the Magdalene manuscript is about, the whole first part is channeled, and she explains how they...
What's the woman who wrote that book?
It's a Kenyan. It's a husband and wife. The Magdalene manuscript.
I love books.
Yeah, so the whole first section is a...
Have you guys heard of this? I haven't heard of this, actually.
Channeling, and she explains sex magic, how they learned it in the cult of Isis, and how because back in ancient times there was the cult of Horus, Isis, like there were these like cults of these feminine deities and these goddesses that they taught. The women learned from each other, and they learned magic, and magic was normal then. So she helped Jesus strengthen his ka body through sex by channeling in the energy and moving the energy. So you can do it with yourself, or you can do it with somebody else, and it strengthens the field. Their field. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that book. That sounds exciting. So who have you done it on?
I do have a boyfriend now. So if I'm with him, or if it's me, just me.
How did you tell us how you manifested the boyfriend then?
Well,
How did you manifest it? How did you wish it into existence?
Planning more fun. I just was like, I can
I can already see where this is going.
I was in Aspen on a vacation for New Year's Eve, and I had all these trips planned, and I had fun stuff going on, and I was just like hanging out and having a good time. And I was standing at the bar with a glass of red wine, not intending on drinking it because New Year's Eve was the night before, and I didn't know anybody there, and I was just standing there, and he walked up to me and started talking to me. Yeah, it was at a Bobby Kennedy fundraiser. But anyway, sex magic. I joked to him, I'm like, I manifested you, just so you know.
Will you get me that book right on Amazon? Thanks. My assistant's getting it from me.
Revelation 9:21. Neither repented they of their murders, nor their sorceries, nor their fornication, nor of their thefts.
Because you just imagine what you want.
Now let's go to what was Jesus a player? Was Jesus a player? Oh,
You move
boy.
the energy up your spine, all the way up, and it boosts the frequency of it.
Yeah, it raises the Kundalini.
Yeah.
And he's
See, and Kundalini is something that people need to be mindful of because this is where I'm almost too Christian for New Agers and too New Age for Christian, because I can see what they're talking about when they say Kundalini, but I don't think it means what they think that it means. I don't think a lot of people think the Kundalini energy is what they think it is. Like Kundalini, the Kundalini energy that they're talking about, from the sounds of it, can be very like sex magic. It's not biblical. But if you want to talk about source energy is the spirit and truth that God himself gives you.
so Mary taught Jesus, you were saying, at some point.
I can't remember exactly if I think she kind of did, but more than anything, she just used sex magic to strengthen his ka body, like the field around him. So strengthen his whole energy field.
Casey says,
I mean, there's nothing biblical about that, but I would have to do more research to see if that's even remotely true.
They moved to France, they got married, and they had 2 children, and one of them ended up in the royal family of France. Yeah.
They do. I've heard that he moved on, they went down to France.
The reward was that God gave him a human life. That was beautiful. That's what I heard. They had 2 girls.
And that he ended up dying in India was what I have heard.
He used to study all the other comparative religion like Buddhism and Hinduism.
I had heard the story that he was in India. He met a woman and was like, I'll come back. Had to come back to the Middle East, did what he did, had his children with Mary, and then fulfilled his promise and went back to...
Does anybody know that? Because I don't think so. And from what this woman is about, this the CEO, executive producer, I mean, this is her. I mean, this is not biblical. That is not a biblical woman in any way, shape, or form. A wellness witch. You can't make this up. Oh, man.
We'll see. Jesus was a player.
I don't know. This is one of the stories.
Jesus was a player. Who knew?
Was he just an upstanding man and did what he said he was going to do?
A nice Jewish boy, a player. Who would have thought, right?
I feel like we're just so untapped in this sort of witchy world of...
Well,
Yeah, you are untapped in this witchy world. You are. You're out of pocket.
Alchemist. I'm an alchemist. Like I've had some bad heck. I worked for a very famous psychic at one point. She was a dark little witch and she did some shit to me. I was very young, tried to make me lesbian. It's a whole story. And I will write a book.
That's why you don't deal with certain witchcrafts, people, because they're going to they're going to do dark magic on you.
Book one day on my experience. But as I got older and I worked with other witches, you have to be careful when you work with witches that
no shit.
They don't cross you. So their heart's not pure. There's black.
There was one time I was talking to a witch. I wasn't trying to like actually be involved with. I wanted to just know what they were about. Like, what were the spells like? What were they doing? Like, how were they doing it? This one witch told me about how there's like this freezing spell. Never heard of this thing before. Never heard of a freezing spell. But she told me that if I ever, she's like, if I ever want to make someone stuck, what I can do is I can take one of their items, I can put it in a jar and fill it with water and put it in the freezer and cast a spell on a part of their life that they'll forever be stuck in. This kind of stuff happens. Okay? This kind of stuff happens. And it's not a joke. The world is spiritual, and there are dark forces out there that can do this kind of stuff. That's why this kind of sorcery is really, really demonic.
And, white magic. So my best friend Patty went over to Romania this week to work. She's like in the witch world, doing all these events. And I said, the number one witches in the world are the Romanian witches. I said, they're on YouTube. You've got to go see them. And so she's like, I don't think it's going to have time. I said, Patty, if I tell you to see them, and she was having trouble, like chaos in her life. We felt somebody had sent some dark stuff. Same thing to me in my love life. And we knew who the person was, a very jealous person. And they had bought magic at a local magic shop. So she goes to Romania. She calls them. She mentions me. They're like, no, I want to meet Patty. I want to meet you. And they just met 2 hours ago. There's going to be all videos on her channel.
Okay, well, I don't know how much longer I want to go and look through this kind of stuff, but you guys get the gist. You guys get the point here. I think we did enough justice, but this kind of stuff is for real. Okay, this kind of stuff is not to be taken lightly, and these verses that I shared from the Bible are no joke as well. We as godly people do not perform sexual magic like this. We do not do that kind of stuff. Not here, not on this channel, and I'm going to call out a spade. I will not condone that kind of behavior. And again, I used to have a lot of respect for Miss Danica Patrick, but if this is the route that she's going on, and I don't care if you're willing to talk to these kinds of people. I'm willing to talk to anybody. But if you're going to be practicing some magic like that, that's not of the Most High God. And if you're going to be talking about how you manifested your boyfriend and how he's in your life, golly, that poor man's got a rough road ahead of him. And my prayers go out to him. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this video was informative and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.